been a pretty amazing year for West Ham, but there's no better way, I don't think, than capping it off with a win like that against Arsenal at the Emirates. I don't think many West Ham fans would have predicted that. I certainly didn't. I predicted a 3-1 Arsenal win. My heart was holding out for a draw, but my word, Riley, what a night that was. Really great performance from West Ham. There's a lot we've got to get through. There's so much to talk about in terms of the game. So we'll just go through the sort of key parts of it with you, mate. First of all, the beginning, before the game even started, the lineup came out. No Kurt Zouma, injured, unsurprisingly. Unfortunately, with Kurt Zouma, that is just going to be the case for him for the rest of his career. But he was out, mate, and Ogbonna was called in. I think I can safely say many West Ham fans felt a feeling of horror when they saw that and thought, oh, God, Ogbonna and Mavropanos together up against an Arsenal side chasing for the title. You think, we're in big trouble, mate. But no, he did very well. What did you make of the lineup, mate? Was you quite concerned?
Well, first of all, mate, I hope you had a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, of course. As we say,
look at you in your Christmas jumper.
Yeah, mate. I'm a bit disappointed, actually, because I got a Christmas jumper on Christmas Day, and it had a picture of Mikel Antonio on it saying, like, Merry Christmas. So I wore that over the Christmas period. But I got this one literally yesterday, and I was so disappointed because I would have definitely worn this over Christmas. Yeah, this is definitely the best way to cap off your Christmas, sending it out a West Ham jumper, win against Arsenal. And I think, to be fair, Arsenal probably rank now maybe joint with Tottenham as a team that I just want to beat more than anyone else in the league. But listen, talking before the game, I'll be honest, Ogbonna this season, he has looked a bit past it. He has looked like probably it's his last year for us. And last season when we called him into action, he looked like he was ready. He looked like he could just do a job for us. This season, he's looked past it. He's made a lot of mistakes. He's looked very tired on the ball. He's been outrun, outmanned a lot of the time. But I tell you what, mate, last night, he rolled back the years, didn't he? He was classic Ogbonna. He was probably my man of the match. He was absolutely brilliant in that defence. He got so many tackles right. He did everything. Honestly, he was brilliant, and he led from the back. And I think it's a little bit worrying that probably our best defensive performance from two centre-backs this season has come from Mavropanos and Zouma, and Ogbonna, sorry, when Zouma and Aged are not playing, when they're meant to be our priority best centre-backs. When Mavropanos has played with Aged or Zouma, he's not looked that great. When he played with Ogbonna last night, I mean, he looked mustard, didn't he? So it is a little bit worrying, I guess, that's the centre-back partnership that's produced the best defence in my eyes. But yeah, I mean, he's been called into action. He gave a brilliant post-match interview. And, he's done exactly what we'd want him to do. He's come in, done a job, and he's assured us at the back.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like you say, I think I was of the opinion, like many West Ham fans, I felt that his days had gone. I thought that's it now. He has really struggled when we've seen him play, when he's been thrown in anyway. But yeah, he certainly rolled back the years last night. He was really accomplished and looked very comfortable, solid. And that old Ogbonna feeling, like of just putting his body on the line, absolutely doing everything to make sure that we kept a clean sheet. And it's just what you want. And him and Mavropanos look great together. And like you say, I know you kind of think, oh, bloody hell, it's a bit strange that our sort of backup partnership looked better than our first. But in a sense, I suppose it's a good thing, though, because obviously Zuma's probably going to be out for a period now. I don't know enough about it. I've seen on Twitter 3 months, but I don't know. I don't know how true that is. And then obviously Aged, well, we don't even know if Aged's going to play for West Ham again. There's talk about him possibly going in January. So there's lots of, I doubt that's going to happen personally. I don't think West Ham would sanction a sale personally, but it just gives a little bit of comfort knowing that you've actually got a couple of centre-halves behind that can do a good job. And we'll talk about Mavropanos in a bit, but yeah, really pleased from Ogbonna. But then, funny enough, Riley, I was going to go to the game. I've been a bit under the weather, so I couldn't do it. But then I went to, I was also watching it on telly. By the way, my missus is an Arsenal fan, so I didn't talk about this in the preview, so that was quite an interesting evening.
It's the Carlo House Derby, is it?
It is, yeah. And to be honest with you, I said in the preview, I was dreading the game, right? Dreading it because of that reason. I've got my missus is Arsenal, my brother's Arsenal, my stepdad Arsenal. I'm seeing them all tomorrow, right, for a family do. So I was thinking, do you know what? I just hate playing this thing. Because, we don't beat Arsenal. West Ham and Arsenal, we've never got a good record against them. They tend to beat us pretty much home and away. They always tend to get a result against us. So it's never a nice feeling whenever I've got to meet up with everybody. And then it's always like, I'm sort of getting on the stick. So as you can imagine, Riley, I'm quite looking forward to tomorrow now. I'm going to be leaving at about 5 a.m. to get there. But yeah, so I was watching it on telly, and then I'm sort of talking to my missus about the game. I go, oh yeah, this. I'm sort of explaining to her like how I think we're going to line up, and all of a sudden in the background I can see Paqueta limping down the tunnel, and I'm going, I'm pretty sure I saw Paqueta walking off with the medical team, and then I thought, hopefully it's not. But then they pan the camera back round, and the rest of the team is still warming up, and I'm like, oh no, something's happened to Paqueta. And obviously then the news filters through to the pundits, whatever, and they're going, oh yeah, reports now Paqueta went down injured, and I'm thinking, oh fuck, here we go. We've just lost Zuma. Now we're about to lose Paqueta. But he comes out, mate. He came out, Paqueta, to be fair. He did start the game, but he didn't last long, half an hour. I don't know the severity of the injury. I'm glad to see him walking around clapping the fans at the end. He looked quite comfortable. So hopefully it's not too bad. But, what do you know? But that was a big blow. But, mate, you wouldn't have known it with West Ham last night. You would not have known that was a team that was missing its first choice centre-backs and Lucas Paqueta, who's probably our most influential midfielder in the team. We were dominant. We were excellent. We played. I wouldn't say dominant's probably not the right word, but we were excellent on the ball. I thought Ben Rama came in and did a great job, mate. And then we go one up. Actually, we went up before Paqueta went off. Paqueta went off on the half-hour mark, but the 13th minute we scored. Let's talk about the goal, because it's as usual now. The Sky Sports world, all they're focusing on is this fucking goal and going, oh yeah, VAR, because it could never anything ever, heaven forbid, West Ham actually put in a decent performance and deserve a pat on the back. The only reason we won apparently is because of VAR, by the sounds of it. But what was your take on it? I take it you've seen the goal back. Obviously, it was a lengthy kind of VAR look. If the ball went out, Bowen cut it back to Souček, who smashed it in, but they're claiming the ball went out. I'm going to be honest, mate. I thought we were a little bit fortunate. I think the ball went out. That's my just gut feeling, but they couldn't prove it. What was your take on it?
Well, it's just one of those, mate, where if the referee says it went out of play, the goal doesn't get given. VAR would not have overturned it. And if the goal gets given like it was, then it stays as it is. I mean, it's happened to us. I remember Bruno Fernandes swinging the ball at the London Stadium, and then Pogba scored to make it like 2-1 against us. Like, it has happened against us before, and it's one of those where the technology probably needs to improve to be able to do it. Whether you need a camera, maybe like on the goalpost or something like that, just to look down the line,
or just sensors like they do for goal line technology. Just have some sort of form of sensors around the pitch, and then just go, when it goes out, the referee just gets a notification and went, the ball went out, throw in or corner or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, obviously the technology does need to improve. I mean, that also happened to Arsenal, I think, against Newcastle, and then there was also a push or a shove, whatever. But Arsenal fans are always going to try and play the victim and put that as to why they lost. I'm actually really surprised that Mikel Arteta wasn't like the main talking point of his interview. I think he was actually quite respectful, and he actually gave us the plaudits that we deserved. My gut feeling as well, mate, is it probably was just out of play. Looking at the video, but you can't tell me for certain that ball went out of play.
Well, I think that's the point, isn't it? So I think that the VAR interception was to say that we have to prove 100% that the ball went out to overrule the referee's decision. So that was the point of it. And as you say, you couldn't do that because Bowen's leg's in the way, so you can't really see. There was sort of, as they're framing it, you could see at one point the yellow part of the yellow ball as it's come in. You could see it's quite clear, in my opinion, that the ball's quite. I think it looks like it's out. So when I saw that, I thought, oh no, they're going to rule this out. But as I've said, they can't see the whole ball, so they can't judge it enough. So look, as you say, mate, these are swings and roundabouts in football. I don't think that has to take away anything from what West Ham achieved last night. I thought we were excellent. We really were good. They can bang on about all the possession. We'll talk about it in a second, Arsenal's chances and what have you. But ultimately, who cares? West Ham were clinical. We're excellent. We worked hard for that goal and it went in our favour. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. Get over it, you know what I mean? And typically, like, as you say, that's what they're probably going to hear now most of the time is, oh, yeah, we were cheated. But then we won 2-0, so, you know what I mean? It's not as if that was the deciding goal. It wasn't. Paqueta then went off, mate, half an hour mark. I mean, I've got to admit, we're one up. You lose Paqueta, you think, oh, God, here we go. Is this going to change everything? I was dreading then the impact that Ben Rama was going to have. I was a bit worried about how he would play because obviously he's got to talk about him being unhappy. Looks like he might want to move on, etc., etc. But he was great. I thought he put in a really good shift. It didn't really disrupt our play at all. I thought we played really well. If anything, actually, it probably helped us because I think Paqueta was carrying that for the first half hour. So you could kind of sense he wasn't quite at it and was able to burst and do his usual, play his usual game. So I don't think it was actually too bad for us. But Arsenal, mate, they had a fair bit of the ball as to be expected. I think the majority of the game, I think they had about 80% of the ball. They had a couple of chances, but I don't really think, and I think it's maybe I'm being a little bit harsh. I can't really recall Areola making, world-class saves. Do you know what I mean? It wasn't as if they were peppering our goal, battering us, and we were clinging on for dear life. I thought we were coping with it pretty well. What was your take on Arsenal's overall play, especially the first half?
I think they should have scored, mate. To be honest, I think that they created enough chances. They had enough touches in the box to where they definitely should have scored or created better opportunities for themselves. But I think we defended really well. I think it was your classic take of a David Moyes away top six performance, which, to be fair, we have often criticised him for, because often we don't get that goal and then we are just sitting in and hemming in and waiting for that goal. I mean, maybe if you look at that game and that, we don't go 1-0 up and we are just defending the way we're defending, I think he gets a lot more criticism, And I don't think his approach would have changed from the 1-0 to 0-0. But Mavropanos gets, I think, what he scored in the 73rd minute or
no, 55. So we got to half time, and then 55 minutes. Yeah, we scored just 10 minutes after the break. Yeah, it was early. It was quite early in the second half. Yeah. Yeah.
So I mean, Mavropanos scores 55 minutes in. I think at half time you get a lot of West Ham fans saying, "Oh, we're basically heading towards the defeat. We're just going to allow ourselves to concede." So sometimes it works for you, that approach, and sometimes it doesn't. But I think the important thing is that we defended really well. We got the big tackles right. I mean, Arsenal struggled to create chances. We kept Odegaard, I think, relatively quiet. And to be fair, if you look back at the game, mate, Areola did make quite a few decent saves, but they weren't, like you say, world-class saves.
Yeah. I think there was. I remember Saka having a header, I think the first half, he saved pretty well. And I remember, obviously, Saka hit the post as well. And so there was a couple of chances, but it was a relatively comfortable night for him. Relative. As you say, he had to pull off a few saves, but as you say, it wasn't as if he was having to pull out some of the best saves of his career. It was sort of just relatively sort of straightforward stuff he's going to deal with. And which, look, at the end of the day, you're expecting that against an Arsenal side. They're chasing the title. They've got abundance of quality. But we've got to talk about West Ham's defensive display, because it was so organised and resolute. It really was. And every player, I think when you're going to beat these sort of teams, you need every player to play well. Like you can't afford to have one or two players not quite at it, because they'll just get exposed. But I just thought genuinely, like I would struggle to criticise players in that game to say, he wasn't quite at it, he didn't play that well. I genuinely thought all 11 players really put in a good shift and worked very hard, mate. And I've got to say, like you say, it was prime Moyes ball. It really was. It was prime, exactly how he likes to set up. And Arteta fell for it. He totally fell to the trap of putting everybody forward, trying to get the goal. Couldn't really break down West Ham, and we were just so clinical. It reminded me of that Brighton performance early in the season. We're just picking them off, and that Mavropanos goal. Sorry to jump around a bit, but that was the perfect time, wasn't it? As well, second half. Expecting a bombardment from Arsenal, I was thinking, 1-0 was never enough. We can't really hold on to one goal. We're going to have to try and get another at some point. And when we got that corner, which again was created by Emerson, by the way, he was so influential in that game. We'll talk about a man in the matches in a minute, but he was amazing. He got the corner, and I remember thinking to myself, this is the perfect time to score now. If we can just get a goal now, got Ward-Prowse setting up. If we can go 2 up, we can wrap this game up. Because that'll rattle Arsenal, and it did. And their crowd went down. Rice's head went down, which was glorious. And it was just brilliant. It was just an absolute amazing. And we've got to talk about Declan Rice, mate. I know, we don't want to sort of be the sort of channel that's in the slags him off, because at the end of the day, he was a great player for West Ham. But we've got to admit, mate, bloody hell, it does make it sweet, doesn't it? The fact that he's left our club in the summer as captain to join another London rival. Let's be honest, it didn't feel good. It never will. Not that we're bitter, really. I think West Ham kind of moving on from it a little bit now, but oh, mate, wasn't it sweet to see him? Well, I mean, it was amazing. He had. Let's be honest, mate. He was affected by West Ham fans last night. Really affected. I thought it was one of the worst performances I've seen out of Declan Rice in a football shirt. I've not seen him play. He was misplacing passes all over the shop. He struggled. He really struggled. And I think those West Ham fans at that ground got to him. I really do. I think he felt that the intensity he was getting. What did you make of the whole Rice situation?
Well, listen, I know there's been a lot of talk about, giving us a couple extra quids for the Declan Rice. And I know it's been floating about. And I just want to put the rumours to bed and just put it out there that I tell you what, 3 points, 6 goals, 2 wins, home and away. I mean, it's enough, guys. Like, it's fine. You don't have to give us some money for it. it's cool. It's cool. You know, I think you've given us enough. You know, you gave us a route into the next round of the cup. You know, you've given us so many great memories. You know, I think let's just leave it at that. Let's leave the money. The 2 wins, I think, are enough for us. So, you know, Arsenal, please don't feel too charitable next time we play you, because I feel like you've given us enough for Declan Rice. And that's all I want to say. But yeah, I mean, I think they probably did get to Declan. It'd be difficult not to, wouldn't it? I think you get an early goal, which really helps us. You get frustrated throughout the game, not scoring any chances. And then again, Mavropanos, he scores. And Dec gives away the penalty in the end as well, which you just sort of think is the kind of, just sort of sums up the game really for him. And I think it's probably tough, isn't it? Because you probably, as much as some West Ham fans probably want to criticise him and get on his back, I think he does still have a very strong account for the club. He probably loves the club quite a lot. You can tell that when he plays, that maybe he hasn't got the same like tenacity and ferocity that he has when he plays other clubs. There is kind of an element in his head that's sort of like, you know, these are my mates that I'm playing against here. I've been in this club for years. Maybe it will change in a few seasons, and I think the way some fans do treat him probably would get my back up and, you know, force me to play a little bit better against West Ham. But I think it is tough for him to sort of cope with, and you know, it's his first season away from the club really. And let's be fair, other than really that performance, he's been one of the best players in the league.
Yeah.
So, you know, but thankfully, you know, he had a bit of a stinker against us. So we'll always take that.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, look, Declan Rice has been a wonderful player and has been amazing for West Ham, and he is amazing for Arsenal. There's no two ways about it. As you say, I get the feeling that maybe in his mind he was expecting a different response. I think he was maybe in his heart he thought that he was going to be given a very warm welcome by West Ham fans. He just unfortunately, you know, he's misread it big time. West Ham fans are just not like that. Even if, look, I'm not saying West Ham fans hate Declan Rice. Of course they don't. West Ham fans really, you know, have got a real big soft spot for Declan, what he's done. But ultimately, he has left the club, and West Ham fans will let him know it. And he knows deep down it's all in jest. I don't think it's treated as, you know, anything. There's no sinister feeling behind it. It's just the fact that they are going to give you stick. And I just don't know. I've got the feeling that, you know, from what I've taken, from what I've seen from the game, and from people that have been there, that were there last night, said the atmosphere was quite fierce towards him. It was very noisy, and you could just see it was affecting him. I was watching on telly, thinking he's having a bit of a stinker here. He's putting the ball all over the shop. This is not like him. And you do wonder whether he was probably thinking, this is not these, as you say, that's my family over there, my West Ham family. I grew up with them as a kid, and they're giving me a lot of stick here. You know what I mean? And I've got to admit, I mean, it did make me laugh. When they started singing the Declan Rice, when he gave away the penalty, and then was it a 2-0 down, Declan Rice? I thought it was quite fun, and we've got to enjoy these moments because. But they don't come along a lot for us. We know they don't. Or the vast majority, if you're going to play Arsenal 10 times, they're probably going to win the majority of those games. You know what I mean? So, but we've done really well this season. Turn them over, as you say, at our place. Turn them over at theirs now. That's great. And let's be honest, I think we play them again in February at London Stadium. I can't imagine they'll be looking forward to that. Do you know what I mean? I think Arteta and Arsenal fans are thinking, oh, Christ, and Rice especially probably thinking, I'm not looking forward to that game. But look, we're up to 6th, mate. It's a new year. We're about to go into the second half of the season, a fresh new year in 6th in the league. And we have to talk about it because it was a big comment made last night, and we're going to do a separate video on it. But David Moyes, I mean, we've talked about the players and how much, how well they played last night, but fair play to David Moyes as well. I know we've always talked about he got his tactics well, but I mean he really did, and he deserves a lot of credit for that. I mean, the fact is we've beaten Tottenham away this season, Arsenal away, just beating Man United at home as well. These are big wins, and I think he deserves a pat on the back. And at the end of the day, if you're going to give Moyes stick when he deserves it, I think you've got to give him praise when he deserves it. And I think he really did deserve a big pat on the back last night. And he came out at the end. I don't know if you saw it. He's been interviewed post-match, and they asked him about his contract. What's going on with your contract situation? And his words were quite interesting, Riley. He turned around and said, the deals, we're sitting down soon. We're going to talk about it. Yeah, it'll be sorted out. No concerns at all. Basically suggesting the deal's going to be sorted out very soon, that he's going to sign a contract. I mean, look, I know there are fans out there that want change and wanted to sort of see a bit of a freshen up and a bit of a different approach. But, I mean, after results like that, it's hard to see anything other than a new Moyes contract. And really, I think it's hard to be too disappointed with it, really. I mean, if we carry on the way we've been recently, who can moan? I mean, what's your feelings on Moyes, mate?
Oh, it's such a conflicting one, mate, because I look at our performances and I mix them with our results, and they just don't make sense to me, to be honest. I mean, I think in that Man United game, we were off it for a while. I think Man United were off it as well. And then we come back, and obviously we have a brilliant half an hour, which caps off a good win. I think yesterday, maybe we get a little bit lucky with that first goal, but we still score a goal. And I think that if Arsenal played a bit better, then they'd probably be able to pick us off with our approach. We've seen it so many times when we have that approach against sides like we played like Liverpool, for instance. We had that approach and we got absolutely hammered. It hasn't worked before, but how can you sit there and criticise a manager that's beaten Chelsea, Brighton, Arsenal, Man United? Went 1-0 up against City, narrowly lost to City at home when they were in the form of their lives. 6th in the table, just won a trophy. I mean, it's so difficult to sit there and justify it.
Yeah, it is. It's very hard.
Sometimes you watch it back and you think, am I just delusional? Am I just being stupid? Because you look at a manager with that amount of plaudits and you think, this is Graham Potter right now. I think a lot of people would probably be like,
absolutely,
he's amazing. But obviously, because of the connotations of Moyesy ball and the football we've seen from him, a lot of the time we're like, well, that's classic Moyes, isn't it? Doing this, doing that. And don't get me wrong, he's not perfect, but he's hard to criticise. I mean, you've got to give him credit, mate. I mean, he's been under the cosh for a very long time, and even when he's winning, he's under the cosh. But he just gets results. It's just what he does.
It's what he does, mate. It's what he does. He wins, mate. No, but I agree. It's hard, isn't it? It's as you say, the argument, as you say, if you're going to justify an argument to get rid of David Moyes, I mean, I said it in a video yesterday that you can't. It's not fair to say, right, you David Moyes in or out, and then you go, right, I'm David Moyes out. But surely you need to know who's coming in. I mean, I think at the moment it'd be very hard to justify getting rid of him at the moment. It really would, unless you've got literally a world-class manager wanting the job and ready to come in. Then maybe that's the only reason that you might go, look, we're just going to make the change because we're pretty much guaranteed this guy's going to take us to the Champions League and he's going to take us within a few years to even maybe challenging for a title. Do you know what I mean? Literally, that's what you'd expect. But have we got that lined up? I doubt it. I don't think we're going to get someone like... Are we going to get Xabi Alonso wearing a kind of West Ham? I don't know. Maybe. Right, maybe that's the case. And if that is the case, then maybe there is a conversation to be had. But if someone said to you, mate, we're going to get rid of David Moyes and bring in Gary O'Neill, would you do it? I don't really see the point of it. I'd say, well, it's just, why would you bother? You've got something working.
To be honest, I've been doing the hokey pokey with Moyes for a very long time. I've been in, out, shake it all about for about fucking 3 years now. I don't know where I stand with it, but I 100% agree. I think unless you've got someone that will come in and you can say definitively he would do as good or better than Moyes, then I don't think you can get rid of him at the moment. And I don't think there's a single manager out there that is available that you could sit there and say he would take West Ham to 6th in the league with the competition that's in this league this season. 6th in the league is mental. I mean, if we're there at the end of the season, that'll be an insane achievement. When you look at Villa doing better, Newcastle, Brighton, Spurs back on it, Chelsea sort of having a little bit, it would be mental to get 6th. I don't think people realise just how good that would be.
It would be, mate. It would be. But before we wrap up the video, mate, it's time to do our man of the match, top 3. Let's start with our 3rd place. Who you got in your 3rd place, mate? Because this is a hard one because, as I said, everyone put in a good shift. So it's very difficult. I've changed this twice. But who did you have in 3rd position?
Oh, mate, it's so difficult. It really is. But for me, I personally think Kudus was brilliant. I think he won a lot of fouls. I think he got us up the pitch quite a lot. It's probably between Kudus and Bowen. I think one of the forward players has to take a bit of plaudits. I was very tempted to go with Bowen, obviously, because of that assist. But I just think that Kudus showed everything that he needs to show, winning those fouls, being able to get us a little bit further up the pitch. I think it was really important for us during the game.
Right, okay. Well, I've gone with Mavropanos for that. I thought he was excellent against his old club, obviously getting the goal as well. But he's been really good. I thought he was brilliant against Man United as well. I'm really impressed with him. I've been impressed with him since the start, really. I know he's had a couple of mishaps. I know he scored an own goal, and I know he's gave that goal away, didn't he, against Palace, wasn't it? But he's ultimately, I think he's been a very good player for us. I think he looks like we've got a bit of a gem there. We've got that's a clever signing. So Mavropanos for me. I mean, I've kind of got to say, I've put you down. Obviously, Kudus, you've gone for 3rd. 2nd for me, I've gone Angelo Bonner. mate, I couldn't believe his performance yesterday. I was so surprised. I was telling my missus, obviously, you know, before the game, I was like, oh no, I was Arsenal going to batter him. I said, I don't know how he's going to cope because he's lost his legs are gone. I was like, but my God, he answered, you know, well, he proved me completely wrong. So I thought he was excellent. Who did you get in for second, mate?
I went with Mavropanos. I agree. I think against your old club. I mean, they were worried about the wrong returning person when they thought it was going to be Declan Rice returning to West Ham. But it was actually the Arsenal player returning to Arsenal that was the real
yeah.
But he scores his goal again. I think it was defensively very sound, and I think that both centre backs had to be in the top three with how well they played. Emerson probably quite harsh actually to miss out in my list looking back on it, and I'm pretty sure he's going to be on your list. But he was brilliant, I thought.
Right then, mate. Go on, man of the match. Who are you giving it to?
It's got to be Ogfather, mate. Absolutely has to be. I mean, I think especially considering the amount of service he's given to the club over the years, you know, coming in with a lot of people telling us he's past it, including myself. Like yourself, I looked at the game and I thought, you know, this is not a strong enough pairing that's going to keep, you know, Saka, Martinelli, Jesus quiet. Like this is cup stuff. Like this is not going well for us at all. But he came in and he did exactly what I thought he would do last season. He came in, he was assured. He got all the big tackles right. He was strong in the air, and I think as well he gave us that assurance in terms of mentality as well. I think he probably led from the back. He acted like a proper captain. I think, you know, with the absence of Kurt Zouma. I thought it was absolutely brilliant, and you know, I love Ogbonna. I think every West Ham fan loves Ogbonna. It doesn't mean necessarily wanting to play every single game for us because we see what he can do. But last night he definitely rolled back the years, and he's more than worthy of that man of the match award in my eyes.
Yeah, I can't really argue it, mate, in a way. I mean, I've put him as number 2 for me because I thought it was a very big toss-up between these two. I thought Ogbonna was amazing. Just a wonderful performance, as you say. He's loved by West Ham fans. Just wonderful to see him play like that. Really just roll back the years. It was brilliant. But he didn't get it for me, actually. I've got Emerson as number my man of the match. I thought he was just immense. I think he actually was the creator of all goals, even including the penalty, wasn't he? Because Rice took him down. He was just so good, and he's been so good for us this season. But it could have been any of the 11, really. It was that good. I thought all of them played really well, really well. Brilliant day for West Ham. And look, we're halfway through a season. We're 6th from the league, like you say, mate. And if we can keep this going, I mean, it's going to be tough. We've got a long way to go yet. And we've got, obviously, African Cup of Nations, which is going to cause us a few issues. Injuries as well. We don't know about Paqueta. We don't know the situation with Zuma. So we could be in for a tough couple of a month or so here. But look, it doesn't really matter in a way. Like, I mean, we're not in a relegation battle. Thank God. We're well away from all that kind of stuff this season. We've got lots to look forward to. We've got FA Cup coming up. We've got the Europe coming back in March. Mate, these are good days and something we can all really enjoy. And as we say, we'll talk about Moyes a little bit more in another video, which will be out tomorrow. But, mate, look, it's a brilliant end to the year. Fantastic to go there on Arsenal's home turf and get a result. Happy days, mate. Come on, your irons.